Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on NCBNTT. I'm Steve David, I'm your host. Today I talk TTFA football, and there is so much we have to talk about, so I bring the two best at doing that to assist me here on the set. Welcome to the set, Anthony Clark.
Thank you very much, Steve. Always a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you, bud, and always glad to have you as well. And Jefferson George, welcome to the set.
Thank you, Steve. Always a pleasure.
And where have you been, Jefferson?
Yeah, I've been about.
I haven't seen him for about 6 months, Steve.
Agriculture is the go, Steve. Yeah.
We're glad to have you. We're excited about having you, and we will get all the information because you have it all.
Let's see how much I have.
All right. There is so much happening, and we're seeing things there, and we're totally confused about what is what and all of that. So let's break it down so the viewers can get a clear understanding of what's going on in TTFA football. I want to start with the Elite League because that is a hot topic on the agenda. They say it's going to start March 10th. Fixtures are out. Some teams are not training. I mean, Civic Center, we're still screening. That's what my coach said, we're screening, and all that going on. And then we also had to talk about the subvention for the clubs from FIFA or whoever that is, and all of that. So, Clarky, I know you're full of information.
No.
Jefferson
just came from an AGM, and I think he has updated information, which we should hear first.
All right. So, Jefferson, you start us off, and let's hear what you have, and then we can jump in and check it out.
I just want to remind the viewers that Clarky has a wealth of, underlying information, foundational information. So, we'll get to that too. In terms of the new, and I have to say the new, newly formed entity for National League football, which is going to be the TTPFL, Trinidad and Tobago Premier Football League.
That's the name?
Yeah, that's the official title.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Of the new league. It is going to be played in 2 tiers. You have the top tier, which would constitute teams that participated in the last Pro League. Some of them Super League clubs, I believe, as well, like Prisons FC. And you have a second tier as well. I believe 12 teams in the top tier, 12 in the second. And kickoff is scheduled for the 10th of March, which is less than a month away. So for me, I think good things first. It is a relief to have football being played at national level, right? National League level. One of the concerns that I always have is that the people who participate in it, a lot of times persons who are on the outside don't consider that there are people who actually make a living in Trinidad off of football, right? Players, coaches, other technical staff members and so on, masseurs, physios, trainers, what have you. And for all, with the last 3 years, pandemic and all these public health measures that required football to be paused, they were not employed. And for me, I think, if we had to pull some positives out immediately, that is definitely, one of them. So I know for those persons, it's going to be a relief. And I mean, it has been a long while coming, but it is actually, a reality now, at least until it starts. Yeah, until it starts.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I will take the positive aspect right of it, Jeff, because that truly is required. However, I don't agree with the format. Right, if you have a house without foundation, it will crumble. And this normalization committee came in here to restructure, to put everything right. The foundation of any national league is the feeder leagues, right? And our football needs to restart, go and underpin the foundation, right? Underpin the foundation. And what I thought may have happened, or what I wished to happen, was that they would have started back, not this Premier League and thing that we have, you know, professional football and semi-professional football. We are far from that. And put infrastructure and funding back into the zonal, right, sub-associations, right, for that. Put money and infrastructure back and let South Zone organize, South Zone, North Zone, Tobago,
regional associations.
Regional association to start the football back there. And then out of that would emerge the quality of players where you think that you can have a semi-pro league or a professional league and so on. I still go back to the point and the fact that we performed better as a country at the international level when we were amateurs.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because we had a very good foundation.
Yeah.
We had lots of football being played. People, you can right? And I also use this example. If I never went to welding school, but I am welding with my father who is teaching me, who is a welder, from as a youth, you went to university, UTT, you got a welding degree, who will be the better welder?
Yeah, the one who welded.
Exactly. So let football be played by the masses regularly.
Yeah.
And that is where the zonal football is, not 20 matches a year.
But that is a very that's a very important point. And again, it deals with the structure, which obviously we had issues with for the last 10, 15 years. And something doesn't become elite, professional, premier because you put a title on it. And again, I agreed with that. Is something that, I mean, probably one of the very few persons since 2008, 2009 spoke critically of our model that we had. But again, there doesn't seem to be the will to move away from that to really build. And the issue that we seem to continue to have is people focus on flagship because that is where we believe we can get, people putting investments and things getting in. And I say we believe exactly because it's not happening.
The community people are the people that, right back in the day, you have a team from Diamond Village. The store owners, the little supermarket, those are the ones that contributing to help the club.
Yeah, because there's ownership there.
There's ownership,
exactly.
And that is where you will get buy-in when you have ownership.
Okay, let's not dwell on the things that we know is wrong about football. How about the league itself? It went from elite league to Premier League. So they always follow other people, and to be real and solid, you have to create your own. That is how you get big. When you have your own foundation and your own system, and we always had a system, like you said. So this elite, this Premier League, I don't like that. We follow in England. And let's create our own and make this happen. But having said all of that, I mean, it's the elite league or the Premier League. I looked at our structure, like you guys talking about, and it's like the Pro League. It's like the reinvention of the Pro League.
Just a different name.
So that is wrong to begin with. If I was in the Super League, I'd be like, what? What's going on? And so there was a lot there, and so who's giving who advice, I don't know.
Steve, it is hard to move away from this topic because and the reason I'm not really involved in the football, I am involved in the politics of the football, but I'm not involved in the football as I would like to be because, right, I'm right, my blood is in football, right? It's because things are not going right. And you cannot move away from talking about this league like if it's going to help our football. I cannot talk about this league in any positive way because, as you said, it's going to be the Pro League. 100 people are going to, right, be playing football from, right, the masses. We could never get the best out of that. Our national team will always depend on foreign players coming back who have no unity, no, right, cohesion or anything. And our football in general is not going to improve.
Right.
Yeah, just to again build on something that Steve mentioned in terms of the model, and I think to me it seems as something that was thrown together, although it was been planning for a while, it seems it was thrown together quickly, right? And in terms of the schedule is going to run from the 10th of March to, I believe, sometime in May, which means there's going to be a lot of football there. The reason given for that was that they needed to, I think, crown a champion who would be eligible to participate in the Caribbean, CFU, the, club championship and so on. All well and good. But again, for me, one of the things that this little gap in the football provided was an opportunity for us to rebuild and do things properly. We missed that boat, and it seems to be, you know, just going to kind of regurgitate some of the old stuff and just put new names and titles to it.
Why are we jumping into this, or do you know why it's so important for us to play this little short stint to get a Caribbean champion? Well, is that important?
Well, I think they're under pressure to start back the football.
Take your time.
Right? And I think the pressure is also coming from knowing that people also earn from football, right? And the earners of right, they haven't been earning since 2020. And that pressure caused this. I am hopeful that it is a stopgap measure and the real reconstruction of our football is going to happen after that. The only way that Trinidad football can move forward is starting back at the regional level. You cannot have a Premier League, Steve. You cannot have a Premier League. Players, right, some of the best players are from the real rural areas, which have no league right now. You see in the college, the standard of the college league is diminished. When we were playing college league, we had a tournament, the San Fernando technical team, who were champions that year, had a Big Four tournament with Army, Trintoc, Barataria ball players. We were competing against the top clubs of the country. Which college league team could do that today? So I am very passionate about making sure the football, the structure and the reorganization of football really happens. This is not it.
Okay, and so just run kind of like how the Ferguson and they run before. What do you call that?
A minor league,
Essential league.
And to add to Jeff's point, if you go back to the zones, the amount of communities it has, the people that could be employed, because now you are ensuring that people have coaches' licenses and so on and so forth, more people could be employed in football that way rather than what it is that you're doing.
So,
that is a key point, and I think one of the ways to kind of re-energize communities is to allow them to register. Now, again, this may be speaking a little bit forward into some of the constitutional issues that we have, because if you get the community level motivated and you incentivize them becoming compliant, right, putting proper structures within your community teams and so on, financial systems, and giving them those tools to be successful and manage the resources that they would be given. I mean, you literally there widening the base and the pool for football. So yeah, I think that is closer to the model that we should be pursuing.
So, but getting all getting all of that going is going to be very difficult, and that's why only professional clubs are in this new league and not this Super League and down.
We could use air quotes for them professionals, because
but this has to start right, otherwise
correct.
Yeah,
we have trouble going forward. Let's take a break. When we come back, we would get more into that. Viewers, will be right back after the short break.
Current affairs.
Oh, what?
That's it. That's it.
Welcome, one and all. I am Gigi Love, alongside my sidekick, Mr. Aruka.
Your partner in crime, Juliet.
And we are going to be live on NCBN on a social media platform near you. IG, Facebook, YouTube. We are going to be
sensational,
tantalizing,
thought-provoking,
dramatic,
educational,
real,
sometimes spiritual,
suspense,
political analysis,
drama.
Take no prisoners, Juliet. Don't forget that part. Coming soon.
20,000 can rise against we like zombies and Juve man.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. For the ones who now tuning in, you're looking at NCBN TT. I'm Steve David. I'm your host of Field of Dreams, and I'm with Anthony Clark and Jefferson George. Okay, guys, my issue is big artists or big whatever, they have their own style and their own system, and that's what makes them big. When you follow people, if you follow a singer just how they sing that song, you could never sing it as good as them.
Right, you'll be an imitator.
Yeah, imitator. So we had the opportunity for the last 3 years to set up a system that would be what is right for us. And we're scrambling now to try to start something for the next
2 months.
2 months. Then to get into the real thing after that. But we call it the Premier League. We don't even have our own name and all of that. So I find we wasting time. But if I was a Super League player or a Super League club, I would be very pissed. Because we're right back into the Pro League modified.
Yeah.
With a couple teams. So it's like we're wasting time, we're spinning top in mud. And how is this going to run? And everybody is scrambling, and teams are not training, and all of that kind of stuff.
That's exactly it. Teams are now, the league is open March 10th. That is, what, 2.5 weeks away?
Yeah.
And you are saying that your program is now going to start. It will be a terrible league. It will be...
Yeah, standard is going to be...
Yeah, the standard is going to be very low, and you call it a Premier League. Your team is still in screening, right, for players. So you don't even have a team.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the same for every other club except those who played in the Ascension.
Right. And even some of those have been, disbanded since then and needs to go to get players.
Yes.
Right. Now, Steve, one of my issues is our fixation with labeling something professional, which clearly is not. Now, if you have a professional league, I remember the first football I played, with fire service at the time was called semi-pro. Now, I think that was well branded because you did have a mix. Well, of course, I played in fire service, so there were people who was working. You had Coco Reeds in that, you had Joe Public. So you had teams that were actually professional, and I believe that was the model for the old league with ASL and there, because that's what you had. You could hire certain players. These players are being paid, and then you have players who are going to work, and you have a hybridized type system which can facilitate the standard of living for players. Is different, right? Because this person, he's full-time, he probably come from somewhere else, he's a national player, we're going to pay this player. Now again, that model provides a team with the flexibility to kind of manage their budget, because I know, all right, I have 15 players, they're working, right? So they get in traveling, they get in whatever. And now the money that I would have now would go to probably some national players or maybe 1 or 2 foreign players. Not that I think foreign players are necessary, but whatever the club wants to do. And that now, the football, right? Your training will be done probably on the light somewhere where these fields you're playing in your community. That encourages.
3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right when you leave work and
that is what it is. Now again, one of the arguments that I've heard is that if we the title of professional league is to play in the CFU. We have Suriname playing in the CFU, Jamaica's play CFU, all these places that don't have
a
professional league is play CFU. So I mean, that is foolishness, right? That don't make sense. Now, the type of economy that we have, we need to design a model that fits in with that. Our football has been the best when we're able to extract, and that way you making better use of the limited finance that we all have. Everybody always says, we don't have money. Well, you have to do with the money that you have. You can't plan a league for money that you don't have. Yeah. So again, work on the product, work on the system, work on the structure, right? And then, corporate entities, the government, the TTFA itself, can then add to whatever exists there. But I think once we go with a model that is, is not really organic, you have to find ways to keep it alive, artificially.
Okay, that's in the Planning League. Now, let's talk about the way our player selection for our national teams on the 14, on the 15, on the 17, on the 19. I'm not happy with that either. I want to hear what you guys think about that, the way we do it, because...
Well, again, that stems from the way the association has structured football. The 2 leagues that are highlighted are the college league and the professional, so-called professional league, right? That's where they see the players to be selected. And that's exactly right the problem. Who plays in the college league? Some of the premier colleges, you don't even go to the Miaro, right, secondary, and the Princess. Remember Princess Song used to beat everybody back in the day? You no longer go in to the communities to look for the skillful player that is there. And that is why our selection process is as it is. Prior to now, we used to have zonal football. So the zones will have their football. Then you used to have inter-zone competition, where it is now that the best from the south zone, the best from the east, now play each other. And that is how a national team used to be selected. When you get the best out of the best out of the best from everywhere. From everywhere. So that is why we need to go back to that type of structure. Fund the zones. Let them start their youth programs. I don't really see, and this is not against Anton Cornell, because I'm a believer in Anton Cornell, right? But this is what our technical director is supposed to be doing as well. Going and helping to educate everywhere, not just on the national program level, right? He should be going down
the community level.
TTFA has to do all of that. You spoke about finance and business. Send some consultants there. That is what you should be doing. To help the Ride North Association get organized, this, that, help. And that is what you do, and that is what is going to make all the associations and the different regions stronger.
I think. Do you think the normalization committee is listening to Anton? Because let's say I am.
Well, they had no consultations right for 3 years, and they're trying to solve this with no consultations. Who have they consulted?
But that's my point. But Anton should then, as a technical director, step and say, "Halt."
No, well, he will lose his job. He's going to lose his job.
That's
well, somebody has to have
Right is gone. I don't know what he did from what he didn't do. Right, not Lasana. Right, last technical director.
Dion.
But he don't have to say it like I would, but that's how I would say halt. But he don't have to say that. He could be nice about it and be personable. But hey, we go down the wrong road. This is what has to happen.
I agree totally with the consultation. That's one of the issues that I would have picked up, that the communication between major stakeholders, there isn't a real dialogue between the football on the ground to the NC, right? So again, you're going to have issues there. One of the things that was commendable, they hired Rajesh Lachu, who is back now in again a developmental role, and he's an excellent developmental coach, right? He's been working in Dominica for about 6 or 7 years, right, and did some good work there. But again, that is what is required, as Tony is saying. What exists now is a model where the clubs and your big clubs will gravitate towards a school that is in the area, and we know these, right? And we know these partnerships between like Naparima and W Connection, that type of thing. So you would have the players in school football, which again we mentioned on another show, that it shouldn't be your developmental league. School football is school football, right? And so the other than your school football, which your youth players are being selected from, the other football that they have to play is the football related to the club football, which is club youth football. Now, unfortunately, because of, again, where the interest is, which is your flagship teams, the youth football at club level is 2 months, right? So you have a 2-month league with your club, W Connection, Jablotech, Caledonia, whatever have you.
It's supposed to be a feeder program.
Right, which what's supposed to be your feeder program for your youth players. So between that 2-month league, the players are then going to go on the summer or whatever, and then they go into another 2 months, because the Colleges League for most teams just about 2.5 months, right? And that is the football for the year. That young players in that critical age between 12 and 16, they are going to play. There's no way you are getting your contact hours there to match with a Costa Rican, or we ain't calling them young US players,
and that
right?
is why
they are in.
That is why
good programs.
You see people making their first appearance into the national team at 23 and 24. We made our appearance I made a national team when I was 16 and a half years old. Right, a senior national team I'm speaking about. Right, Lafayette was on a senior national team at 16 years old and 17 years old. That's where, right, you see the Wayne Rooney's, you see the Messi's. That is the age that you see it. Why? Because our contact hours at the youth level is insignificant. That's where you have to focus. So I am right disgusted with how the football went, because it seems to be that they, as Jeff puts it nicely, which I am not so eloquent, but they're concentrating on the premier program. They're concentrating on how they can make money, and they're not concentrating on the development. The developmental dollars that comes from FIFA, there's a development budget. What are they doing with that budget? It goes into other areas. It's not going into development. And until these things change, our football is not going to change. So it's false dreams. They're trying to say.
I looked at the national under 17 again playing, and our first 2 games, the US, Canada, and again the disparity is there, right? One of the things about this team, you can see the team is at least physically well prepared. They could stay up with the teams. But again, the experience is something you can only get by playing.
Correct.
You can't get it nowhere else, right? And you can see how short some of the players are unexperienced in terms of the decisions that they make on the field. Again, people would be quick to criticize coaches when they see, the coach ain't good. Well, all right, but what does he have to work with? He's working with the same system that everybody in Trinidad and Tobago has. So I mean, it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. And again, I don't think the window is totally closed on that, but we have to be intentional about trying to get away from, getting away from what we have.
Right, what they're trying to
stand up pyramid on its head.
Well, we've been talking about that from Thy Kingdom Come, and the same thing is repeating itself. So how do we stop it? How do we make a change? The bleeding doesn't stop.
My friend, I want peace. I stay away from football. Because, Steve, nobody is even asking a question. There's no consultation. You're not coming now. You're only consulting with what you consider as your AGM, right?
But even that is not a consultative.
And that is not a consultation, right? Right? And it's a whole set of vipers and everybody looking right to be the president and the secretary and so on, as you saw with United TTFA.
How you know is there I was going?
Right. Well,
the only place it could be. Go ahead anyway.
A set of vipers, right? That right in that AGM, and you can't get anything constructive from them because everybody there has self-interest. Right? Self-interest. That is why I've always promoted that the next TTFA president must be a paid professional. Somebody like Jefferson George, who did sports management, who understands. The best person for me to be a paid president, not just right president, because right now our president is...
I know
right.
who that is. Go ahead.
It's Kamara David.
You're already outside.
Yeah.
With
No,
Kamara.
he can
Why
come
would I
back.
come back if I was Kamara?
Right at the right salary. He has national pride. He has national pride.
And that is what is going to cause people to do it. A professional will do it. If you're paying, if you're not a paid
Correct.
position, but again, that's,
If your coach and secretary of the association was earning what, 25,000 US dollars a month, the president will be well compensated because of course he's going to be paid more than the secretary of the association.
You know who groomed
And as
Kamara?
USA,
Do you know who groomed Kamara?
I
And they kicked him out
Yeah.
at the last thing.
yeah,
He's the one that introduced Kamara to this
Yes,
and
correct.
groomed him.
correct.
And
And he was doing succession planning.
So this is a person who
Kamara
can
top
use.
man.
They don't want a Kamara David here because if the United TTFA, when they went in, right,
Yeah.
and they went into this place, and you have a professional like Kamara David, and you got rid of him to put a retired referee with no experience in management and give him a 25,000 US dollar salary, you are there for your own interest.
I beg to differ a little bit. I'll tell you why. Because I think Kamara, the relationship between Kamara and this individual deteriorated when Kamara crossed the floor.
That does not matter, Steve. At the end of the day, you have to accept people's professionalism, and Kamara is the ultimate professional. Forget about person. He is now in a role. He has all the tools to perform the function.
Now,
Even then, he has the experience to perform the function. You bring somebody who is way below his standard to replace him because of personal.
well, okay, I hear
Accept him
you.
as a professional. Accept him as a professional. And give him that opportunity to show if he's a professional or not. If that was not, Ramesh Ramdan was predestined to become the secretary during the election.
So the whole thing is we shouldn't crash the vehicle at that point. We still could make, with some discussion, of course,
Correct.
we could bring things back online
Correct.
and make it happen. But
He also had institutional knowledge of what happened in the past and so on, which could have helped the new thing move forward right faster and better.
Right. All right, so let's take a break. And when we come back, we would follow up with also the way we select our national coaches, the way we do everything.
Yeah.
We have to get our Trini brand and do it like we know how it's supposed to be
Yes.
done. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Hi, join us for your movie classics on NCBN T2 Television Network every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. with repeats on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. NCBN Television, the #1 online television network, bringing you the classics.
I come from a place where only happy people and pretty girl everywhere, yeah. I know life is rough, but we still a smile on we face, yeah. No matter how hard, man, we don't let tragedy face, way. We could take strain, that's why when we festin', we just fed hard when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinking, man, it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle right now when we festin', we just fed hard when we jammin', we just jam down when we drinking, man, it's strong rum, eh. Pop a bottle, push up your hand, yeah. We see bodies, we bad, push up your hand, yeah. God bless this land, yeah. So we go jam down, oh la la, so we go wind down, oh yeah yeah, so we go jam down. So we go wind down, hand in the air. If you're born right there in this land, where the vibes go, and I say hand in the air. up it amazing. When the battle hard, we desperate to God for we safety. I know that we safe, yeah. We gon' make it, cause God is our tree name. When we fetting, we just fed hard. When we jamming, we just jam down. When we drinking, man is strong rum, hey. Pop a bottle right now.
Welcome back, viewers. All right, guys. We did a great job in beating up all the stuff that the Normalization Committee or TTFA or whoever has done. And and we always give them the answers to their problems or questions, but they don't listen. But we still need to continue to do that. So what I want us to talk about now is let's be positive. Field of Dreams is about positivity and making things roll and happen. So let's give them some positive feedback on the things that they did well, if any, or the things that they need to do to put the boat on the right.
I will start with a positive that I have seen recently. I have seen an election coming up in South Zone. I have seen
Jefferson George
is
on it.
There on one of the teams. I have seen a lot of young professionals coming together to go and challenge to run South Zone football. That's a positive.
I didn't see your face on
No, I wouldn't be there at all until things change.
Okay.
However, I will continue to pray for them, because when they reach there, if no subvention is coming to the South Zone to do a South League, they're going to be frustrated.
Right.
So if this does not change, you have young professionals going there to try to help, to try to restructure, the football, at least in the South Zone. I don't know about the other elections. But if they have no resources, they can do nothing.
Right.
So I hope, I will pray that this whole structure changes, whereby you can get people from all areas coming in to offer themselves to serve. And I don't think it should be service. I think it should be a paid position. Right? You can have some ex officio, board members and so on, but the presidents and the main secretaries of these associations should be. It's a profession, and that if it is that you have it as what do you call a voluntary position, we're going to get voluntary results.
Correct.
But that is not from the Normalization Committee. That is.
Well, it is from the Normalization Committee, because there's no budget or structure for the zonal association.
So the zone pick it up on their own.
Now,
and run with it.
Let me just say, because you said that we were beating up, I ain't beat nobody for the day. Right? But Tony made some good points, and I think that members, and zones are key stakeholders in football. And just to build a little bit on what you're saying there, I believe that the team believes that the model is to grow with a huge amount of autonomy from the central FA, where because we don't exercise any real authority over the FA as an individual stakeholder, right? Whether it be myself, running the coaches association, or the SFA, and that is one of the things that we are intent on developing relationships directly with corporate entities, building relationships with them, which is in the process even right now, and getting buy-in from them into the work that we want to do in the zone, so that we can develop our own cash flows. We would have our own resources to implement programs that the zone needs. So this is a model. I mean, this is what we asked the FA to do. If the FA's only resources is, the money coming from FIFA, I think they're underperforming, right? Because at the end of the day, every single MA in the world gets that same amount. However, that money is minuscule when you look at it compared to a US budget or a Mexico budget, or even some of the smaller countries. Why? Because that's not the funds that they're waiting on to do things. They have plans of generating their own income streams, and what FIFA sends is the cherry on top. And I think that is the way that we, as all MAs, I would encourage to build on your own. Look at ways where you can become independent and self-sustaining, and that is how you're going to be able to manage things. Then you can implement programs. I don't need to wait for funds to come from the Central FA, which never comes, right? Anyways, similarly in the Coaches Association, the things that we do, and we are to unveil a kit deal soon, right, with a major kit provider. We have our own coaching seminars and stuff that we're going to be putting on, to again add to the knowledge base of the coaches within the group and so on, within Trinidad and Tobago. And that for us is the job that we have to do, right? It's too much time has gone where we would complain what we don't have. So knowing that you don't have it, then you need to provide an avenue to make sure that you can, at least serve the people who you are called to serve.
Jeff, if I may, I don't know if you know, because you're not in the Southern Association yet. What is the yearly budget that an association requires to operate in? Because yes, you're talking about ways and means to, get sponsorship and so on. But you have to understand what that budget is. Just by my understanding of a club, football, you are talking about tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, for
right, for an association, right? At least $20 million to run a proper program. That requires the corporate community to see the head with integrity. And to understand that the head, who is the TTFA, right, has some structure, and they understand where the results will come from. I admire your enthusiasm, and that's why I say you're going to get frustrated, right? Because the corporate Trinidad and Tobago football has a stain on it. That corporate Trinidad and Tobago
runs from.
It runs from, and they're not going to now come to one little small entity under here to say, all right, we will fund you all.
Correct.
Right? It must start at the top. The integrity and the organization and everything must start from here. And then the corporate entities will understand, well, okay, there's integrity here, there's integrity here, there's integrity here, there's integrity. I would love, the government has a subvention for people donating to sports, How much is it? 3 or 4?
Yeah, they raised it. It started at 1.5. I think it's probably 5 now. I think
$5 million that you are going to get back in tax credits. Why are they not taking this opportunity?
I think is what you put in. If you put in $1 million, you get a match. I think it's
up to
100% of what you put.
Right.
Yeah, up to a certain amount.
And right, that is it. So the point is, I agree though that if you go back to communities, the local association, and right, what I am glad for is that professionals are going in. I feel every association on every, right, what do you call it, the regional,
regional associations,
right, associations, this should be their structure. Anybody with a slate should have an HR professional on their slate because you're dealing with people. Should have a legal professional because you're dealing with law, constitution, so on. Should have somebody from sports management because it's a sporting activity. Of course, you need somebody with a business degree and so on because you're going to run an enterprise. But you just see people who are involved in football going up for right. I want to be president. I want to be assistant secretary. I want to be vice president. What are you going to add? What is your added value? Because you used to coach, right, a club in St. Madeleine. So we have to understand what it is we want and what it is we going to do. What is the job? You must have somebody from HR. We don't have somebody from HR or the TTFA, and you're dealing with hundreds of people,
international
individuals. That is human resource.
So, I mean, why don't then, I have an idea that, listening to you guys, why don't all the big shots who want to be the main person, they want to take all the credit, why don't they all come together and have big discussion, and out of that you select those individuals you're talking about to run TTFA football?
Because they have self-interest. They are not about the development of Trinidad and Tobago football.
Is how much they
the development of themselves.
Yep, and added to that, another point that Clarky touched on before is that consultation. Again, a very important point, and I mentioned this to the chairman in the early days. You see that point that Clarky brought on? Corporation, I know there's corporation, people believe that persons who are in administration, sports, that they have ulterior motives. That's a natural thing, right? And again, you can't blame people because that has been the trend from ever since. You know, especially in trying to make a football.
Especially in trying to make
So you can't blame them for looking at you as a smart man. That comes with the territory. Now you have to prove that you're not. And if you're not willing to do that, I think that shows something, you know. And at the end of the day, wanting to do something or having good intention, it doesn't count for anything unless you can show what you're doing. And I always tell people, don't ask for trust. Show that you're trustworthy.
Well, one of my main points, Chef. You fighting for an unpaid job. Why are you fighting for an unpaid job? That is why I've been saying that the TTFA president must be a paid position, a professional that you know you're getting a decent remuneration, 30,000, 40,000 US a month. You can then study how to properly develop this. Why are you fighting for an unpaid job? Obviously, people will feel that you...
we covered that in the whole show already.
We don't want to, like, you know, to impose your morality on others. But when you signing a contract for 50 million and you doing that pro bono
for free.
I have something to talk about before we end, and that is, we talk about young players and developing, and my national team, my top team, I am still seeing all the old heads that we should get rid of now, still hanging around. And I heard our present coach talk like you are now, on programs where they should be interject the young players, but why he's not doing that, and why are we not doing that as a national team?
Well, right, football has not been played, and you will have to go with what you know. It will take time to see and select players from different regions, but because our football is in a little capsule, there's only a certain pool of players that are playing in the Premier League and the Ascension League. And that is the problem. That is our core problem.
The other thing that to add to that is, and again I mentioned for the viewers, people see a coach on a match day, right? When people have an opportunity to play and you see him on TV or whatever, and the real challenges that coach has, people don't understand that is directly related to the lack of structures in our football right now. Because if there's no league football playing, where is he? Now, that coach could say he have a team in training every day, but playing where? Doing what? There's only, you have to play games for people to be selected. It's easy for an international coach who scouts, because the job of an international coach, whether it be Martinez, right, or who have whatever international coach, their job is to scout, just go and look at games.
And why, and right, you hear that word scouting? We don't know what is a national player. We screen in 60, 70 players. Each coach should know what is a national player. What player do I send up there for screening? We send in players where the national coach now has to come and do basics and so on, and that is his problem. So he will stick with the people that already have this skill set and not have to, because he wants to deal with his tactics, not be trying to coach people.
Okay, move forward. I've got the last word. And the last word for me is, you know, I've seen St. Benedict's play Fatima, and between those two, I could get over 6 national players on the big team, because some of those guys have talent and they can play. I got to thank you guys for being here. The only thing I'm disappointed in, you guys didn't wear anything red. Today is Valentine's Day. In case you don't know, go buy something for the wife on the way home. And happy Valentine's Day to you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Viewers, thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate you every Tuesday night. Log it in. NCBN, thanks for the opportunity. My 2 guests, thank you so much again for being here. We have a Facebook page, you can check us out, and we have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. Good night and happy Valentine's Day to you.